Good morning, my people. My name is Hajira, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the possible questions that an interviewer can ask an asylum seeker during the interview. So, here is a detailed and structured explanation of what happens during an asylum interview, including possible questions and how someone can prepare to answer effectively. This applies boldly across countries like the United Kingdom, United States of America, Canada, and European Union member states. However much, the process may vary slightly depending on the local law. So before I take you through the categories of questions asked and types of asylum interviews, let me first give you an overview. The asylum interview is one of the most important stages of an asylum process. It allows the immigration or asylum officer to understand why you are seeking asylum, to access credibility. This is when your story has to be consistent and believable. This is when they determine if you meet the legal definition of a refugee. This is when you have to show the fearing prosecution, for example, race, religion, nationality, political opinions, or membership in a particular social group. In this asylum interview, it's usually a long, detailed, and personal interview, and it often lasts several hours, depending on your story and also depending on the proof or the evidence that you have to show in your asylum interview. So, let me take you through the asylum interview types. We have two types of asylum interviews. We have the screening interview, that is the initial interview. And this initial interview, you have to expect to be asked basic questions. This is when you're going to talk about your identity, your travel routes, family, and initial reasons for claiming asylum. Number 2, we have the main interview. This is when you have to go in depth about the reasons you left your home countries. You have to give the experiences that you faced during that situation and also show the fear you have once they tell you to return back to your home country. So after you knowing that we have two types of interview, let's go through the categories of questions that are being asked. This is generally the whole country. It's worldwide. No matter where you go, you expect these kinds of questions because this is globally for all the countries. They have to go through all this. First of all, you have to expect to be asked personal information, family background, travel to the country of asylum, reasons for seeking asylum, future fears, credibility and consistency check. This is what you have to know in this first interview. This is what you are going to expect. Okay, so if you expect personal questions, this is when you're going to give your personal information, and then you have to state your full name, you have to state your date of birth, you have to state your nationality, you have to state which kind of language do you speak, so that in the second interview, the main interview, they may get you an interpreter if at all you don't have one. This is when you're going to state your religion. If you're a Muslim or if you're Catholic, you have to state your religion and which ethnic group you belong to. If at all you have passports and you did not give them when you are registering for the asylum, then this is the time you have to hand in over your passport, driving license, any document you have that identify your identification. You have to hand it over, and then they will ask you if you've ever used another name in another nationality or in another country. So you have to know. If it's yes, you answer yes. If it's no, you answer no. So when we come to the family background, they're going to ask you if you have parents. They'll ask you if you're married or single. They'll ask you if you have kids. And if you have one of these parents, you state their names, you state your spouse's name, you state your kid's name. And if at all it happens that you have your kids, you have your spouse or parents, you have to appear with them in this same interview, because all of you will be given a family, because you'll be given a family invitation into the immigration officer's office to be interviewed. So if you're not with them, expect questions like where they are now. You give them the answers. They'll ask you if you've ever applied asylum with them in any country. You have to give your answers, and also expect to ask you a question about your education background, whether you were employed, which level of education you have. Expect to show all this in your asylum interview. And this is let's go to the type of question they will ask about the travel to the country of asylum. This is when they will ask you, how did you leave your home country? What route did you take? Which countries did you pass through before you landed the host country that you're seeking asylum in? They'll ask you, did you pay for your visa or someone paid for your visa? So you have to answer all this. But the honest thing, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself with all these questions. So this is the second interview. When you go to your second interview, the main question they will ask you in the second interview, it will be reasons for seeking asylum. This is the biggest question that you have to know. Reasons for seeking asylum. This is the core part of your interview as to why you're seeking asylum. Expect very detailed and sometimes sensitive questions. Okay? When you're telling your story as to why you're seeking asylum, you will expect questions to be asked. Most of the questions are going to come from your story, what you're going to tell them. Most of the questions will come from there. But sometimes an interviewer may pose questions like this. What exactly happened to you in your home country? Who harmed you or threatened you? Why were you a target? Did you report this to the officers, authorities, or even the police? Were you part of any political, religious, or social group? What do you fear will happen if you return to your home country? This is the last question they always ask. After you telling your story, they'll ask you this. What do you fear will happen if you return to your home country? They'll ask you if you've ever been arrested or detained, and then you have to focus on facts and personal experiences, not just general country problems, but personal experiences. Be specific about dates, places, people, and incidences. If you don't remember something, say so honestly rather than guessing. Another serious question they will ask you is, do you believe you can live safely in another part of your country? Please explain why you cannot safely relocate internally. Give examples of continued risks or lack of protection. Okay? So when we come to the credibility check, this is when officers will ask the same question differently to return to either topics to test consistency. They'll ask you, why did you not mention this area? Why didn't you apply for asylum? Thank you very much. Have a good day. I'll come back with another topic.